California, the state capital, the oval in the front, the dome in the back. Getting ready for international rugby. The Canadians, they are in attendance. Alongside of them, just getting off, the United States Eagles. It's the U.S. and Canada, and it's coming up. Last week in Southern California, the USA Eagles gave the Japanese Brave Blossoms a run for their money. America's Blaine Scully put down 3 tries in a back-and-forth match, but the Japanese were still able to come away with a 37-29 victory. Now the Eagles are faced with a bitter border battle as Canada travels south to face the Americans on home soil. The Eagles haven't beaten the Canadians since 2009, but Team USA is determined to put that streak to an end. It's a North American showdown. The United States and Canada. Next on Universal Sports. Of the American and Sacramento River, you have the 4th largest metropolitan area in the state of California. And on the land of Cal Expo, the newest site, Bonnie Field. International rugby comes to Sacramento today on Universal Sports. The United States and Canada ready to square off for your enjoyment. The Eagles looking to put an end to a losing skid against their northern neighbors. The captain, Todd Clever. Scrum half Mike Petrie going to put a ball into the sun or two this afternoon. Maybe looking up there will be his running mate, Shalom Suniula. And Chris Wiles, an impressive effort last week against Japan, didn't register a victory. Can they get one today? That's the question. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bonnie Field here in Sacramento. I'm Bill Seward alongside former Eagle Brian Hightower. Glad you could join us. We got ourselves a warm one. We got ourselves a bit of a battle, too. We talked about that border rivalry, and it has been decidedly Canadian of recent.
Yeah, the United States have lost the last 7 matches, and it's just not good enough. There's one match that it's the metric that they use to establish how far they've gotten, how have they progressed. Canada is the measuring stick, and guaranteed today both of these teams need to have a victory, Bill. They'll both be physical up front. They'll both try to put a physical stamp on this game, but they both need a win.
And both coming in off of common opponents. For the United States, Scotland, took care of them a couple of weeks ago in Houston. And the United States making some mistakes, as evidence of Tim Visser's try right here.
Yeah, and just some gaps in the midfield defense. The United States they need to work on their open play on defense, defending that midfield when there's line breaks. And that's been tough for them. Japan exposed them as well. And here's just a 50-50 ball that went up for Stuart Hogg and Blaine Scully. And an inch away Scully was from grabbing that ball. Whoever came down with it was going to score a try, but too much Scotland at the end of the day.
Yeah, 24-6 the final, and might have been closer than that, and certainly close with Japan, even at the half. And then the second half, well, the U.S. let things stretch out a little bit, but some pretty shining moments offensively for the Eagles.
Yeah, they finally had some space to run into. They looked a lot more dangerous with the ball, and that's because they were attacking full speed going forward, and they were dangerous with the ball in hand, and that's unusual from the team we saw in Scotland. Blaine Scully and Chris Wiles both played phenomenally for the United States. They need to have that kind of performance, but other people need to step up.
37-29 was the final as Japan prevails here. You see Yamada crossing over for the Brave Blossoms. But the U.S. may be taking something out of this. One of the things, of course, gotta stand their ground in the scrum.
Well, and the scrum has been a target area. They know that they're going to get pressure there, and that's what Japan does to them. You got to avoid situations today when you put yourself under pressure inside your own 22-meter line. Got to get the ball out and try to work in the Canadian half.
You see Germany, 37-29, the final score in favor of Japan. Now for the United States, I get nervous when people start looking above us because I'm thinking there's a one coming down. For the United States, don't want to go 0-3 in the Summer Series, and maybe more importantly, on the other side, a victory. They can hold on to that for a long time.
Yeah, these guys have been knocking on the door, you know, and it's no longer good enough to say, well, if this went well and if this went well, we would have won. Today, no more excuses. You got to put the performance on the field. You got to be able to close it out. And that last 20 minutes of the game, they have to be authoritative.
A man that's been working toward that final cause is Mike Tolkin, and our Nick Gismondi caught up with Coach.
Tied last week at the half, 29 points for you guys, so there's a lot of positives to carry over from that match against Japan, but what's the message coming into tonight?
Well, there certainly are a lot of positives. I think the big thing is we have to come and bring the game for 80 minutes. Last week we had gaps where we let down, especially coming into the second half. It was about a 10-minute flow where we let down a bit, so we have to eliminate those types of errors.
One of the things that you and I have talked about a lot is that there's kind of like this wave of momentum coming, and it's about ready to break on the shore. So I guess the question is, how important is that wave to break today against Canada?
It'll be a great day to break it. Last game on tour against Canada. I think if we play that 80-minute game, that complete game with minimal errors, you know, I think our chances are good in all the games that we play. So hopefully it all comes together today.
Okay, Coach, good luck. Stay cool out there.
Thanks.
All right.
Talking about some firepower, and maybe with the changes you see, the chemistry experiment, and take a look there, Brian, 11 and 12, Thompson and Palamo getting the call today.
Yeah, Thompson, his first cap, and he's a very dangerous wing. Seen him on the 7th Circuit, and Mike Tolkin really likes what he sees out of this young man. And threaten Palamo. Watch for number 12 in the first half to go barreling into his opposite number, Connor Braid, wearing the number 12 jersey for Canada. He's going to have his hands full. But Tolkin talked about it. The way to beat these guys, you got to have moments in the open field, but you got to make your tackles and protect the ball.
We shall see what happens. We'll take a more in-depth look coming up as Harry Jones and the Canadiens getting ready. Stick around here on Universal Sports. Canada getting ready for the showdown with the United States. The Canadian starters today, by the way, a combined 74-11 against the United States. So feeling pretty good about their chances coming in, you would think. And one of the guys that can do some damage certainly is that 13, Kieran Hearn.
Yeah, very slippery. He's a big center, but he just finds a way around the people in front of him. And if there's a line break, in the last couple games, it's really started from the hands of Kieran Hearn.
I got to tell you, though, and you're from the backside, and I'm a little more grunt work. Jake Ilnicki going to make a start today. To me, the key is, can they hold in the scrum? Can the U.S. get the job done? Whoever gets it up front, I think, gets it today.
Yeah, and a lot of confidence coming out of the USA camp, but Canada also confident in their starting 8 in the forward. So it'll be a tough contest up front. And again, like we talked about, there is more than just a game at stake here.
Kieran Crowley is the coach for Canada, and our Nick Gismondi caught up with the former All Black.
Okay, Coach, so you guys have had leads the last 2 matches so far, and they've slipped away on you. So what's the impetus coming into this match today?
Well, it's a new game, isn't it? So, you know, yeah, we've had opportunities in the last 2, but that's all gone now, and we've just concentrated hard on what we want to bring to this game, which, you know, we've got to be a little bit more accurate in our set plays and, you know, make a few more tackles than what we have done in the last 2 games, and hopefully, you know, we can do that today.
We mentioned you being 0-2. The United States is in the same situation. How important is it to get a win in this one to end out the Summer Series?
Oh, you know, the result's always nice to have that win, you know, going forward. So it's a test match between 2 countries, and you always want to win them. So, you know, if you don't win, you're disappointed. So we're definitely, you know, gunning for that.
All right, Coach, good luck today.
Cheers, mate.
Well, you know, Kieran Crowley talks about how they'd be disappointed if they didn't come away with a win. The players are calling it a must-win. So in the Canadian camp, they're treating this as though they got to win it. And, you know, the USA's got a little bit of that going on, too, and it's just going to elevate what happens on the field.
It's a bit strange, too, on the Canadian side. There might be a seed planted. They certainly had their chances, maybe gave away at least 1 game and maybe 2 in those losses.
And in both losses, the first one against Scotland and the next one against Japan, they seem to wilt in the second half, and there's a pretty decent amount of heat on the field today. It's going to be about 90 degrees during kickoff, and, you know, if they can't put together a 40-minute 30-minute performance in the second half, then the U.S. will have an open door.
And I forgot to tell you about the guy last time we were together in Charleston when they took on Canada, Phil Mack. He has to be corralled early on. You cannot let him get off to a good start.
Yeah, and against him goes Mike Petrie, and Petrie really needs to have a great game today. He's kind of had an ordinary last couple, and he's got it within him. He just needs to elevate today, really think through his defense, and start distributing that ball, and good things happen. Mike's a great, steady presence on the field.
We shall see what happens. We're getting ready ever closer to Canada and the United States in the showdown at Bonnie Field in Sacramento. We'll be back to take more of an in-depth look and a kickoff shortly after that on Universal Sports.
From Sacramento, the California state capital, and we are pitchside at Bonnie Field. Hey guys, I'm Nick Gismondi, and we've got a lot to get you caught up on before we take you back to more pregame action. And the first thing we want to talk about is injuries. They have highlighted at least the U.S. so far this summer, and once again they come into play tonight, or this afternoon I should say, against Canada. American Cam Dolan, who had a great match, left that game against Japan in Los Angeles with a left foot injury. He will not play. That is him out there today. He's with the boys and did travel with the team, but you will not see him out here on the pitch today for the Eagles. More importantly is where they're playing at, and that is the brand new Bonnie Field. Here's a look from last night when they kicked off the inauguration of this 8,000-seat full pitch. It was a soccer match. The Sacramento Republic, who will call Bonnie Field home, won 4-3 over the Colorado Rapids Reserves. This place is actually very pretty. It cost $3 million to build, all privately funded, sponsored by Bonnie Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Rooter Service. Now, construction began on this place in March, and the pitch is absolutely phenomenal, but it's part of a bigger picture. It's part of the California Exposition Center, which also has a horse track. Not only this pitch, there's a water park here and county fairgrounds. I got to tell you, you might find me doing the post game from the water park, but it's just over there in the slides. They look fantastic. It's a great day for rugby. It's a hot one, but the fans are filing in. They expect a full house. When we come back to Sacramento, we'll send you back upstairs with the boys for a more in-depth look.
Canada and the U.S. getting together, some of the fans out here, and you have to be brave folks to wear those suits, and especially in this heat on an afternoon in Sacramento. Taking a look at the rivalry, and as we mentioned, it has been decidedly Canada's advantage here, as Canada has taken 38 victories, lost 12 times, and one draw with the squad against the U.S. This gentleman here to my side, Brian Hightower, I'm going to bring it up. You faced him 3 times in your career, and one of the times victorious, and the other 2, it still burns, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does hurt, and especially the way that we lost, and that's what players will leave with today. It doesn't matter how you lose to Canada. If it's close, then you knew you could have done something extra to get over the top, and if it is a runaway, then it's even worse. So, everybody's targeting a win today. The United States is under the gun. I mean, they haven't beat Canada in almost 5 years.
Now, there is some encouragement on the U.S. side, at least offensively. It looks like they might be coming around, and we got a chance, or at least you did, to break down and take a little more in-depth look at it.
Yeah, and the pressure from the scrum means that the U.S. has to be clinical during their lineouts, and they've been lacking some first phase ball. Here we take a look. Tom Kulikin is the hooker. He throws a strike right to Scott Lavala, and things start to happen. The midfield is the target here. Seamus Kelly now with the ball in his hands. And number 4, the right-hand side of your screen is Samu Manoa. And the defense has to respect him. So you'll notice all of the Japanese defenders just jamming that midfield to tackle either Kelly with the ball or Manoa. Instead, Kelly with the ball takes one step to be threatening, and then the loop coming back to Suniula. Folaunua has drifted wide. You see him in the right of your screen wearing the number 13. Done a great job of a drift line all the way across. Now he gets this ball with the defense of Japan still focusing on the midfield. That pass has to go from Folau. It does. Wiles breaks the tackle. And then the finish is magnificent. Here Wiles, this defender on him does not have to make this tackle. There's support coming across, but Wiles freezes him with his eyes. so that Scully can remain open. It's a no-look pass. He just knows his partner is there. He feeds it to it. Scully does the job right and finishes. That's what he's there for. Pay attention, though, to all the other people running lines behind the ball. They're actually threats for that backside pass. You have to be a threatening runner in this game, and that's one of the things I talked to Coach Tolkien about. Is it's not just the people with the ball in their hands, it's the people without the ball. What do you do when you don't have the ball? You have to freeze a defender. You have to look dangerous. You have to make a Canadian today step up and at least have the idea that you might get the ball. And when that happens, gaps start to open, as they did for the United States against Japan last week, and they got to do more of that. It all starts, though, from good quality first phase ball. They'll hope to get some tonight in the scrums, but if they start to go badly for the U.S., look for them to try to strike once again off the line out.
What I'm taking from all of that is, in short, you have to sell it. And the other thing is, there's a chance that even though you don't think you're getting the ball, you may be getting it, and why not be moving at full speed when you do?
Yeah, just be dangerous. Just have someone stop for a half second to measure you up as though you might be a running threat. And if you can get the guys on the inside to bite and sit down for just that split second, then the results are obvious. And last week, we saw what happened.
All right, in this summer series against Scotland, it looked like the U.S. pretty flat-footed. Looked like they picked things up, certainly against Japan. Now it's against a familiar foe, Canada. What do you think offensively?
Well, I think we're going to see a lot more of what we saw last week, and that's what the U.S. will hope to do. Strike runners coming from depth this time instead of what we saw against Scotland. Last week, it worked really well. Guys coming on pace with the ball in hand and making people make good tackles on them, not being easy to defend. The question for the U.S. today is not about the attack. It's about establishing a clean wall of defense. Every time Canada goes through a phase, the U.S. has to smartly connect with one another. They have to look literally back and forth across the field. They have to communicate so that by voice they can find each other, reestablish that wall, and then put guys on the deck.
It shall be interesting to see what happens. Canada heading in to get a little water and then some, and then we'll come out and have the anthem at Bonnie Field in Sacramento. Glad you could join us for the showdown between the U.S. and Canada. Up next on Universal Sports. The capital state of California, Sacramento, and it is home to the brand new Bonnie Field. They put this one in just hours really before this kickoff today for you between the USA and Canada on Universal Sports, and a warm afternoon in the state capital. Maybe not warm enough for these guys. They're storing some heat in there, I think. The Canadians have traveled south after a match last week at BMO Field in Toronto, and they are here in Northern California. And you see the starting 15 for them, Brian, including Kieran Hearn, who's wonderful in the 7s and very, very good at the 15s.
Yeah, let's take a look, though, back into the tight 5. Numbers 4 and 5, Jamie Cudmore. They call him Cuddles, but it's not because he's friendly. And Tyler Hodson, between them, 70 caps, and they're going to put some pressure on the scrum today if they get a chance to, and they're a lot to deal with in the middle of that pack.
Canada 16th ranked in the world. The United States is 18th and trying to put an end to a 7-game slide against their northern neighbor. And we're familiar, at least USA rugby fans, with Andrew Suniula. He is not there, but another big man running in the centers.
Yeah, 260 pounds of threat in Palamo coming straight at Connor Braid today, and that'll be an interesting matchup. But take a look at number 4, Samu Manoa, and he's really just one of those guys who the coaches talk about as far as lifting a team up just by his very presence. He'll be a handful as well. Hayden Smith, probably going to get a good 40, 50 minutes in this game. He's really not back into full match shape yet. Look for Lou Stanfill to come off the bench sometime around the second half to give him a spell.
And you take a look at the Eagles getting ready. In that 23, there are 7 Californians. And when you factor in a guy like Seamus Kelly, who went to Cal via Queens, New York, it's 7.5 Californians really on the U.S. side. They got to be fired up. I can see why Stanfill will be coming off the bench as opposed to being in there from the start. He may not be able to contain himself.
Yeah, you know, and it's not a huge stadium, but 8,000 strong, and it'll be packed here. And a lot of the voices that you hear are going to be coming from sections that are really just fans of these California players. Apparently Blaine Scully has an entire tribe here with him today. Stanfill has got numbers, and probably about a dozen from the number 8 Danny Barrett's side. His brother Neil, of course, in attendance, a Cal product as well, and they'll get some support from the crowd for sure.
Danny getting the call today, playing the 8 with Cam Dolan down for the United States. I forgot your reference from last week. What was he? There was an adjective you used to describe Danny. I don't think his parents appreciated it, but I think we understand the gist of it.
Oh, he's got a little bit of mongrel in him, I think is what I said. And Danny Barrett is one of those guys. He's a game changer. He's got that X factor, to use a number of cliches strung together. But, you know, if he takes the ball off the back, he's a running threat and an absolute monster in the tackle area. He may not be as big as his counterpart, Tyler Ardren, who's going to be captaining Canada today. But Danny Barrett is looking to have one of those breakout games, and his first start at number 8. He told me today he hasn't really started since he played against Notre Dame back in college in the number 8 jersey.
I forgot to tell you before all of this, Danny had reminded me, please don't make me sound as though I'm small. so that won't be the case. And there's Danny to the left side, right in the middle there, and then the shot of Scott Lavala.
If you're 6'4", 230, no one's going to call you small.
No. We are getting ready, first of all, for the anthems between the squads. Canada to lead things off, and then the United States. I believe we'll have singers for this one. It is a sunshine-filled day at Bonnie Field in Sacramento, California. Bill Seward alongside Brian Hightower, and glad you could be with us here on Universal Sports as the fans continue to pretty steady stream in and trying to find a place. There's a lot of sun on the far side of the pitch, and there's some tents down to the other end that are packing some folks in there.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And now, please remain standing for the performance of the American National Anthem, performed today by Tech Sergeant Cedric Coward from Beale Air Force Base.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant
United States and Canada International Rugby Showdown at Bonnie Field in Sacramento, California, here on Universal Sports. A sunny Saturday afternoon, and the official, Stuart Barry from South Africa, the 32-year-old native of Durban, Super Rugby ref since 2011, international debut with Japan and New Zealand in 13, a master in hydrology, which I believe we need to be at least minors in it today. Where's that water going? Taking a look at John Moonlight for Canada. Very good in the 7 side, and he's been certainly a boost for Kieran Crowley's squad on the 15s. Shalom Suniula getting ready to put it in the air. Bill Seward alongside former Eagle Brian Hightower with you. Glad you could join us. And all set to go, the U.S. and Canada. First one comes bouncing away, and kind of a struggle for it. A whistle and a couple of knock-ons, and we'll see our first scrum, we do believe, of the afternoon.
Well, might as well get straight into it.
A check of the weather, and for that, Nick Gismondi joins us.
All right, boys, well, let's talk weather. It's 91 degrees down here at kickoff. The UV index is pretty high at 8, so you hope you got that sunscreen on. Not much wind. Every now and then you get a little bit of a breeze, but gentlemen, as you know, it is very warm today.
Warm here and warmer down there, as you see, just a half-minute in, and take a look at the 8-on-8 here and what the weights are. 2,000 pounds for the U.S., slightly less than that for Canada. A critical juncture of the contest, and already to the ground goes the elbow of Andrew Tiedemann on your near side here. This is a big part, Brian, I believe, of what happens in this contest today.
You're probably that far too off each other on this side. That's it.
Stuart Barry talking to the opposing props here, Tiedemann and Khalifi, telling him maybe get a little bit closer so you can try to hold this thing up.
Bind. 6. On the other side, Wallace and Ilnicki meeting each other up, and down it goes.
And a penalty straight to the United States.
Stand your legs.
The call that Canada brought it down, so
well, you talk about
United States looking around here. Are you within shooting distance?
Absolutely.
What are we doing, chaps?
Survey says
yes,
Chris Wiles going to take, nope, he's going to send it to touch and see if they can get a line out a little closer down. Take another look at this scrum, the first time they really got together on this one.
From the far side here.
It rolls in and collapses, as you see, and Red goes down first. And
yeah, just
the law says
prop with his knee on the ground, and they get called. So the United States decides some territory
with the first line out. And taking it there is Danny Barrett. Barrett with the fend. Barrett finding himself some meters ahead.
Well, that's what Barrett does at number 8. Just some go-forward ball, and he just finds a way. There's Hayden Smith with his first carry.
Just about 8 meters out is the U.S., so threatening on the first possession. The cut to Kelly. Kelly dragged around the neck and brought down by Canada. Petrie goes to clean it out of there. Ardron is admonished from touching that one.
Manoa with his first little rumble takes a few Canadian defenders with him.
Lavala trying to cut defenders. Ardron brings him down about 5 meters out. The U.S., Petrie, flat ball, squirted forward, and the knock-on.
Offside, number 2 red.
Well, this should be automatic three-pointer for the United States if they decide to go for it. Offsides on Canada. So that's what they decide to do, and Wiles will tee up his first attempt. This is a great way to start the game.
Wiles, of course, 147 career points. Try against Japan. 6 points against Scotland.
It'll be interesting to see the United States work from inside that Canadian 10-meter line. And so many times we've seen over the last few years knocking on the door and just not able to cross the line, just not able to resource the ball properly, get the right runners, get the right, guys in groups running in packs. And sometimes that lack of confidence to ship the ball all the way out to the corner when it's on. But this will be a good result.
Wiles looking
in
at
the early minutes.
And the wind kind of swirling around a bit down there. Can he bump it through? He does. Over the tents it goes. Somebody has a momentary souvenir, and the United States has a 3-0 lead on Wiles' penalty goal. The keys to the contest, first of all, for the U.S.
Yeah, you know, and if the backs can get the ball and get a little bit of open space, and some of that's going to come into the hands of Threat and Palamo. They're going to test his opposite, number 12, Connor Braid, pretty early, but defending the open phases has to happen well, and they got to keep their head in it for 80 minutes on the Canadian side. If they can put pressure on the U.S. in the scrum, which we've already seen, and maybe that's something that they're not going to be able to do today, they got to keep it tight. I would use some of those big guys who have 70 caps in the wheelhouse of their forwards, and then you got to withstand the heat for all 80 minutes, and I don't know if Canada's ready to do that.
Clever the grab, and then off goes Nick Wallace, his first time touching the pellet. Bringing it out of there, and quickly to Danny Barrett, the 8 for the United States, and pretty decent reorganization by Canada, straight across. And
no effect.
Bit sloppy in there, got to use the kick by Petrie. Racing in and not being able to contest it up high in the air, and it comes back to the United States. Wallace again, flat-footed this time, along with Phil Teal as a duo.
It's a good drive, though, by Tyler Arjun, wrapped him up in the tackle.
First. Legal dominance only.
Stuart Barry active with the whistle and
release first,
letting them know need to be released, the ball carrier does.
Well, Arjun and Moonlight had come up for Canada and done a really good job of popping the ball carrier for the United States, driving him back 5 meters, but Stuart Barry said that Arjun needed to release the tackled player before he could play the ball. The United States gets a little bit more space to work in.
The line out on the other side of halfway, and you see Tyler Arjun wearing the 8, the captain for Canada. And from the line out, the U.S., Suniula, Palamo. Big rumble, and the crowd appreciates.
Well, it feels good for Palamo to get that first run.
Another big rumble. That's Samu Manoa.
Well, one of the things that Canada's going to have to do is target some of the attackers that the U.S. has with 2 defenders, Palamo and Manoa.
Danny Barrett gets the call from Petrie. Was thinking about a kick, and instead goes Barrett quickly. Suniula. Kelly swung around and brought down.
Almost broke that tackle by Kieran Hearn. Good job by Hearn in the midfield.
Nick Wallace with the tank tracks there, and then Manoa.
Yeah, that's Manoa. You don't want him sidestepping with the ball. You want him barreling straight into a defender, and when he's flat-footed like that, he becomes easier to tackle, and you don't want that from the big lock.
Olive Khalifi's taken down. The ball comes out of that pile there, and Canada appears to have possession on the turnover.
No hands, White. White 8, stay.
Back in the pocket, and Harry Jones gives it a foot, sends a wobbler downfield. Lavala sizes it up and brings it back with running mates Thompson and Wiles. Lavala to Wiles. Wiles defend. Wiles taken up high by Connor Braid. No, not Connor Braid.
Yeah, Vandermerva on the tackle had come over from his wing.
DTH with the grab there as Wallace goes into it, and then Suniula, the one-handed.
Yeah, just looking to connect inside with his big inside center. Palamo couldn't find him and took the tackle instead. Now an advantage being played to the United States again.
Wiles with the grub. Coming across is Phil Mack. He doesn't get it, and so the United States comes up with it. The advantage over, and then the knock-on.
Captain, he's lost turnover, possession, cynical infringement when he's coming out, originally or intentionally spoiling it. It's a cynical offense.
So
spoiling it.
Mack is going to spend 10 minutes in the bin. The cynical foul, he was trying to slow down the ball. Looked like maybe with a foot.
So Phil Mack comes off, and Mack, a couple of matches ago against the United States, had himself a red card. He gets the yellow here from Stuart Berry. And Chris Wiles going to line one up and see if he can double the advantage for the United States on a three-pointer.
Wiles against Scotland had a few times where maybe points on the table, and he didn't really strike the ball very well. And last week looked really solid. Ball just leaving that tee and elevating. And
another check of the flag, and it looks to be going as Chris is looking at the post from right to left.
Let me know when we get down to 2 minutes.
And enough of a breeze. A zephyr. To knock the oval over off its perch.
Times you have them coming off?
You have 20 seconds.
Back in the day, we didn't have these sporty tees. You're just going to leave that one alone.
A little bit of sand. What'd you use? Somebody's foot?
Back of your heel. Get yourself a divot. Wiles. On through and a 6-0 lead for the United States. Another look at Phil Mack and what led to the card.
Mack competing for the ball here. Goes down. Comes back. Yeah, it looked like Mack was being rucked out. And he reaches back with his foot to play the ball. Keep an eye on this. He's rucked over, and then he flicks the ball with his foot to disrupt the back of that ruck. And so referee says that's cynical.
Sending it deep this time is Canada, and into the hands of Samu Manoa. Manoa says hello to John Moonlight. Manoa says, I think I can go a little further.
Oh, he had Clever on the outside. Little back pass would have gotten it to him.
Release tackle!
Once again, as Wallace and Khalifi get together, there's half a ton set to go. Quarter ton, I'm sorry. In the air, and Funderburg not able to pick it up cleanly, and it goes to the U.S., but not before the knock.
Yeah, unfortunate, because Danny Barrett was the recipient of that first knock by Canada. It looked like he had some space to run into, couldn't find the handle.
Connor Braid, who had himself a pretty good match against the United States in Edmonton back in 13.
Feet going up under pressure.
And getting ready for the scrum.
This gap a little bit closer, both, please. Thank you.
And got a pretty good key matchup here, Brian. Big guy against a not as big a guy.
Yeah, Palamo will tell you he's not 260 anymore. It might be more like 259. But, you know, we saw him once already with a crash ball into Braid. They're going to have to double him up. Moonlight's going to have to come from the side.
Just spoken to you straight under.
So Petrie's feeding the scrum according to the referee. Got to feed that ball straight.
So a free kick going to Canada. Got to roll it right between the eights there. Take another look and see if you can see it there.
Release.
Yeah, it looked like he was coming in with it, then pulled it back, and then
he's using his
maybe off angle a little bit. Canada on the motor. Here's Ilnicki. Ilnicki says hello to Blaine Scully. Very close to touch, taken by the U.S. and kicked the other way by Mike Petrie. On the bound, and to touch it goes.
Great job by Petrie there. Scully comes up a little bit sore, grabbing his right shoulder. He got a big clean out ruck there, but it looked like Van der Merwe, his opposite wing, came and really laid into him.
So the line out on the near side, and the transformed 8 to the hooker goes.
What's happening, chaps?
Aaron Carpenter, but not before a whistle.
About 5 minutes gone off of the yellow card on Phil Mack. They'll be anxious to get their scrum half back.
Up high and grabbed by Tyler Hodson, and on the roll. Suniula with a pretty good hit, but not enough of a wrap to take him down. And then on the counter comes
no effect.
Khalifi. Handed down the line for Canada. Not much going on there as Samoa comes in.
Well, Canada, you know, they're missing their scrum half. Nobody there to marshal the forwards and the backs together.
Stay.
Jones lifts one up high. Wiles with the grab, and immediately taken down by Jamie Cudmore. The U.S. on the outside. Palamo Thunder and Hurd on his own. Back to Clever. Clever slamming inside is Khalifi.
Nice run by Khalifi. Good job going forward.
Smith takes a turn at it. Hayden Smith, a forward momentum. Petrie to Suniola. Looks at Kelly. Instead gives to Wiles. Wiles looked to bust a half gap there and keeps rolling forward. And maybe not releasing. Rolling forward. Just call.
You know, he goes for the first roll and doesn't get any support over his body, and just players in the right place, but just not in the right position. And so Wiles goes for another roll. Penalized for it.
Time is off, and we head down to the pitch, and our Nick Gismondi. Nick.
Guys, well, weather is a big part of this, obviously, today, and the heat has factored in a little bit, so much so that both teams have agreed upon on designated water breaks. So that means at the 20-minute mark and the 60-minute mark, there's going to be designated times when they're going to bring out water to the players. Like I said, this is something that has to be agreed upon by both of the teams, and it's something that we saw a couple of years ago when the heat was so intense in Houston against the Italians.
A memorable evening in Houston, not soon to be forgotten. And yes, hydration, important.
Well, speaking of Italy, apparently Japan beat Italy today.
Japan was looking sharp, and the U.S. with the pick. Wallace with it. He's got Clever to the side of him. Todd comes in on the clean and the whistle.
Yeah, Clever is just a step late. Vandermarva does a great job here. Number 11, the winger, takes down Lavala and then up for the quick poach. Nobody there from the U.S. side. Clever expecting maybe a pass, and instead the winger with a clean poach penalty against the United States.
Jones hammers one into touch, and still down a man is Canada.
And this is
moving to the other side of halfway.
One of the only forays into the U.S. half for the Canadians in this first 16 minutes of play.
Red on the line. White's take a step.
Well, the first throw by Aaron Carpenter poached.
Carpenter puts it up yet again, this time cleanly taken. And Canada, the dummy runner going through was Pritchard.
Fans of Canadian rugby will recognize Carpenter as a flanker. He's been playing most of his career there. Made the switch to hooker. He's been doing a pretty nice job of it as well.
Ray takes a step back inside. Thrown down to the turf. Cudmore. That spills forward. Palamo looked like he got a mid on it. The U.S. with possession this time. Barrett with a fend, and
red hands.
Barrett finds himself a spot to get to the turf.
Slowing the ball down, knees on the ground, on your feet. Your knees on the ground, back you go.
Sinclair guilty of the indiscretion there. He's got his knee on the ground and playing the ball. Take a look again at this hit. Cudmore with the ball comes straight into Manoa. Manoa pops the ball, and there's Threaten Palamo to pick up the change.
Wiles downfield, and beautiful shot there, right just outside the 22, the line out for the U.S. A 6-0 lead on penalty goals by Wiles. 17.5 minutes into this one. The advantage for the Eagles here in Sacramento on Universal Sports.
Twice we've seen the United States down near the 22, and they've come away with points both times. Something that they've really been working on in the last couple of years is, like I talked about earlier, the number of times that they've gotten down inside 10 meters and not come away with anything, and that's one of the examples there.
Going back the other way is John Moonlight off the errant line-out toss, and Tiedemann. Cudmore's your scrum half. Nice. Kieran Hearn off the foot of Pritchard and spun back to Brett Thompson. The Wildcat on the move. Thompson now taken down by Hearn and others.
Great job. First touch by Thompson, and that's just such a relief, getting your first cap and getting the ball in your hands, and makes a nice little break of it as well.
Barrett on forward, and into touch it goes, and could be the U.S. lineout as Phil Mack going to return from his sin bin time.
We need to work a little bit harder to break down discipline-wise. just break down everything. General discipline at the breakdown.
You're listening to Stuart Barry, the referee for this one. The assistant refs, Neil Hennessy and Nick Racono. The U.S. on the line out, shifted back toward Lavala and completed the get by Scott off to Samu Manoa and a whistle.
What would you like?
So I think not straight is the call by Stuart Barry. Kind of held that whistle for quite a long time.
Line out. No, pass fine. Yeah. Expect a little bit more freshness in that last one. Go.
Quick chat to Phil Mack.
Scrum red.
Back to full strength.
So 15 on 15 here with a 6-0 USA lead.
You get sent off the game with a yellow card, and it feels like letting your teammates down. Expect Mack to really kind of try to elevate right now to atone.
Early in. Just leave the ball. Number 3. Not 3 went early.
Jake Ilnicki trying to get a bit of a jump on things. He gets whistled up for it. The free kick goes to the U.S. They tap it and roll. Manoa trying to roll forward.
Again, what I like to see out of these forwards is to get a little bit of a rumble.
Kick back, and the chase for it as Harry Jones has a beat on it. Now coming across is Thompson, and kick toward the dead ball and through.
22.
So a 22 dropout for the U.S., but certainly a loss of good fortune at one point.
Stop it. 22.
Take another look at this turnover here, and it's
22.
Olive Khalifi with the ball in hand, and back to Barrett. Doesn't expect it, and ball goes to ground. That's danger right there. Harry Jones pretty quick, but luckily Thompson shows his speed.
To 22, guys.
Yeah, if that ball would have hung up, it would have been 5 points for Canada.
Right, let's go.
So Suniula here with a drop kick, almost 21 minutes into the contest.
Just going to go deep with it here.
Well, try to. The wind's kind of coming that way to hold things up, and making the grab is Fendemerva. DTH, Daniel, with an aggressive fend and tries to leave it in play. Mack comes across, and then so do a couple others, and it stays alive. And Ilnicki taken by Suniula and Kleber.
Release what?
Good defense by the United States. This was an area of concern for them.
Errant pass for Jones, taken by Cudmore off the hands. Did that go forward? No. Moving along is Hassler. He's inside the 22. Canada on the move. Jones is free if he can turn the corner. He does, and Harry Jones is going to put Canada on the board.
Well, we talked about this before the game. Broken play. United States having difficulty scrambling in phase play sometimes, and a little bit of this is just the way the ball bounces. But Canada, very opportunistic try, and Harry Jones with a little bit of spacing. He's got the right matchup against Lavala on the corner.
We're wondering if this was a knock from Cudmore and on through.
We'll take the water break.
Now Lavala, it came off Lavala's hand, so it's...
This one was faded from when they brought it from near the touchline, because I think the U.S. thought it had been in the touch, and they made the mistake of sort of stopping for a sec, and Canada didn't. Wheeled it out of there and moved it all the way to the other side of the field and on through.
One off his feet playing the ball, slowing it down. So just a few of them leading up. Penalty balance isn't quite there yet. Not that it needs to be, but yeah.
Stuart Barry having an interesting talk with the captain, Tyler Argent, there, and says that they really need some discipline. Canada does around the breakdown area, that the penalty count right now a little bit lopsided on the side of Canada, and wants them to clean things up a little bit. But that 5-pointer will be a huge boost with the kick to come from Pritchard.
Yeah, Pritchard's kick gives him the lead here, and if he can make it, and he's certainly no reason to believe, he's Canada's all-time leading scorer, 574 points, and 167 of those have come against the USA. The mandatory water break being taken at the moment. I might have to, like, if I'm on the U.S., chuck a bottle toward the tee, but there will be no resistance, and the kick is on its way, and good. So Canada takes the lead on the converted try. Harry Jones crossing over.
Well, just broken play here again. Hassler defended, but now the U.S. needs to work to the blind side, and they need bodies on scene. And Lavala just stretched.
Sorry?
Harry Jones is a pretty quick customer there against that big number 7 Lavala. There was no stopping him. But going back to how we got to that part of the field, all the way down in the corner, a missed line out, and then you come back and good ball going forward for the United States, and Khalifi throws a 50-50 ball to Danny Barrett, and it starts bouncing around. And so the United States not really doing itself any favors.
Understood. So even if it is,
need to be a little bit more clinical with the ball, not only their set pieces, but in open play. Canada's not going anywhere. A lot of experience out there wearing red jerseys.
So the initial start by the United States, a couple of penalty goals, a good one at that, but in one swing, it is Canada with a 7-6 lead at this point, weathering the yellow card, not getting too far behind. And Kieran Hearn keeping an eye on things for Canada. There is Harry Jones. Jones, like with some of the Canadians, a very good sevens player is Harry Jones. Lifetime 3-0 against the USA. Trying to boost it up here as Suniula goes to the right corner. Thundermer to Kieran Hearn. Phil Mack with the box, and Clever camps under it. And Todd Clever going to try to step around, and does. Finds himself an opening along the touchline, reverses it back, and Clever on the move. Now the support. It's there. Off the hands by Petrie. Can't seem to come up with it. Knocks it off the knee. Picked up, however.
Both teams.
And the U.S. somehow keeps possession of this one.
Yeah, they got lucky there because Moonlight did a pretty good job of taking that ball from the tackle.
Use it.
Petrie to Manoa, leaning forward. Lavala with him, coming back the other way. Suniula spins it to Wiles. Danger man, Scully down the line. Scully back to Wiles. Wiles taken down around the 5, spin it up to Scully.
Stuart Berry's hasn't given the signal yet. They're going to check the TMO to see if that pass was forward.
You're not talking about the pop-up one. You're talking to the leader before that.
Another look at this one, as it all started with Todd Clever. The rumble, this still to be looked at. You see Todd reversing his direction several times.
Great job to get a spark from the captain. Look at him in the open field, just daring people to tackle him.
Several short passes leading up to that. Can you just double check on the forward
Manoa pounded forward, and
no
then
issue with the grounding.
Where it went from there. Wiles to Scully. Back to Chris, who in turn rolls, flips it back. Scully's there. Then the question
that one's
is
fine. And if there's any question about the pass at all, it's the one before that pop pass, and that looked good to me.
Stuart Berry taking another look. With the TMO, Tom Coburn. And Scully, certainly with the contingent here in the stands, would love to be able to celebrate one.
Wiles is pretty confident. He's already teeing that ball up.
Got an angle here for Chris, if in fact this one sustains. Another look as Wiles goes down just inside the 5. Again, flicks up in the air.
And absolutely no question about that. Last pass was good.
I think they want to see the third to last and second to last pass, if I'm picking up Stuart Berry correctly. Blaine Scully, the 3-time All-American from Cal, 2-time national champion, Sacramento man. And you see once again, this is sort of the genesis of the U.S. move. It started with Todd Clever fielding the kick. coming through, and a try awarded. That is the call by Stuart Berry.
Yeah, so, I mean, sometimes the TMO gets a few angles, and they're not actually any more helpful than what the referees saw on the field initially. And so, barring anything that was a new discovery by the TMO upstairs, the tries awarded. The last pass certainly looked fine. And Scully looks to convert. Check that, Wiles.
Just pulled it.
Oh, he's got it.
It over.
Oh, and I thought it went over.
Drift. So,
Tom, we need a
Blaine
discussion.
Scully
We
with
can't
the
have that
try.
happen again. So please, can we just sort that out?
And an 11-7 USA advantage. At the 26-minute mark of the first half, and you see,
sorry, but you need to go
his
from the
fourth
center.
in the last couple weeks.
You need to go from the center.
And Kieran Hearn to restart it for Canada.
He has a huge boot, puts this ball way up in the sky.
Getting over to the side is Lavala, doesn't need the lift. Scott in turn comes back and taken down by Cudmore and crew. The box by Petrie and a whistle. Obstruction to call.
Their player and number 8.
Against Nick Wallace.
Just a giveaway here, and this will be a
none of that, okay.
Pretty easy shot for Pritchard. Tyler Ardron, captain for Canada, asking Stuart Berry to watch where he lines up.
Right of the screen, and Nick Wallace with the old, I think you can lean on my shoulder, Tyler Hudson, and maybe I won't get whistled for this, and he does. So Pritchard with a chance to pull a bit closer within a point, Canada, if he can convert here, the Australian native.
You know, Wallace already in the right position. He's a youngster, still 24, only in his 10th cap, but you know, really it's just a giveaway.
Pushes it outside, looking for the wind to bring it back in, and it doesn't come back home. So, got a miss on the conversion by Wiles and a miss on a penalty goal.
So far, both of these teams are really just willing to play rugby. Not a whole lot of aerial game going on, not a bunch of kicking.
And almost 30 minutes into this one. Pounded and taken by Canada on the far side, and moving it forward as Mack spins it to Jones. Jones in turn finds the Moonlight.
Seamus Kelly getting up slow. Had his
Jones off his hand, into the air it goes. He gets it back, but the knock-on will bring it back to a scrum for the USA.
Now, Kelly had a death grip on, it looked like the jersey
Time off
of one of the Canadians. Might have hurt his arm, though, by virtue of hanging on.
Stuart Berry over to take a look as you're looking at Harry Jones, the try scorer for Canada. There is Seamus Kelly.
It's the lane arm.
Moving that right hinge around. Once again, the Queen's product went to Cal.
That we're going to go.
Another look at what happened to Seamus.
So Moonlight comes up, and there's Kelly. Yeah, well, it's not the arm he was holding on with.
Oh, look, maybe got a little sting on impact and just went down with it.
Big scrum for the U.S. here.
Bind! I expect your bind to be better, not on his shoulder, on his body.
Stuart Berry letting Alif Khalifi.
White move in, please. Thank you.
No, he wants a little more Velcro there. On the body, not the shoulder, and a big one.
Binds.
3/4 of the way through the first half.
6.
Back to Barrett, and Barrett on the motor. Danny Barrett's got some open
He's got
field.
Scully outside as well.
Richard inside, Scully. Off to Mike Petrie it goes, back to Palamo. And Palamo, just about 14 meters out. Lavala almost picked off. Suniula gets it outside, and the U.S. going to go to the corner with Wiles. Well, it didn't happen on first blush, but the U.S. stayed with it, kept possession, and pushed to the corner to get their try.
Well, and not a pretty scrum, but they really make a gem out of it. And Barrett from the back. Go all the way back to the scrum. Barrett gets clean ball and just dummies Connor Braid, and he's off to the races. He's got Scully on the corner. Can't make the pass. Wisely keeps it. Goes through a phase. Suniula while he's falling, and Wiles says, sorry, bro, I don't need any help with this one. And Wiles is over for a try, and the United States really looking pretty dangerous in the open field. And Barrett, we talked about him before, Bill, that X factor that he brings. He's just such a fast forward. And with the ball in hand, that little dummy, the show and go to Connor Braid, just freezes him in his tracks and then finds daylight behind him.
The other thing is, you have not seen Danny Barrett at the 8 carrying the ball. And so if you're scouting or you're watching tape of the United States, if you're Canada getting ready, you don't see that. You see Cam Dolan or you see somebody else motoring around there, and then all of a sudden when Barrett gets it, it's for real. He's a sevens guy. He can turn it on.
Yeah, and if both teams have a bunch of sevens guys who are in the forwards. Oh, what a kick by Wiles.
Got it.
Using the wind. So take a look here. Kieran Hearn comes up, and he's got numbers outside him. The only thing he can do is try to intercept this ball because he's got a 4-on-1 out there.
He goes for the pick.
Yeah, and Suniula does a great job. Really, Hearn makes a gamble, but there's really nothing else he can do because there's so many white jerseys on his right shoulder.
But he sends one high into the air and into the hands of Samu Manoa. And Manoa offload to Todd Clever, banging forward. The U.S. a little shy on the support. Petrie gets it to Suniula, and he gives it a boot. A whirly bird coming down to Vendemarva. DTH at midfield.
The U.S. looking really confident with the ball in hand.
Jones spins it outside. Carpenter.
Nice cover by Todd Clever there.
Advantage offside.
Connor Braid. Vendemarva outside and into the hands of Jeff Hassler, and Hassler to Pritchard off his boot. A race for it. Pritchard getting close. The U.S. takes it just outside of in goal and trying to move it from there. Can Canada get it back over? The whistle, and Stuart Barry come out to a 5-meter scrum.
Ball not coming out. The U.S. had a chance to clean this one up and just had too much pressure on them. The Canadians, we saw it last time they scored a try. If they get a little sniff, they're not going anywhere. And that time, blood in the water, and they just dominate the breakdown area, end up winning the scrum back. And a couple of guys looking for attention out on the field. One of them is Phil Teal for the United States, and then Phil Mack. He's coming up pretty gingerly.
A warm day in Sacramento.
Yeah, it does not look good for Phil Mack. Phil Mack, he's become one of the best sevens players in the world at his position. Plays scrum half and just so dangerous
So dangerous in the 15s, too. We saw him in Charleston in 2013, in August of 13. Man of the match, try, score, did everything in the first couple of minutes of that match. It was amazing how much ground he covered.
Well, here comes
that ball came out pretty
Gord
quickly.
McCrory.
So inside play. Thank you.
They call him the Mouse.
Not the Mouse, Mouse. Just go Mouse.
They call him Mouse, and he's in for Phil Mack. Now, saw him come on against Scotland a few weeks ago and just had a little bit of a deer in the headlights kind of look to him.
He was born in Scotland, so got the residency over here, and Phil Mack goes off at 21. McCrory's in.
That's too bad for Phil Mack. He's a great player. You always hate to see somebody leaving the field that way.
Binds. Sits.
Rolled in by Mouse, and
that's a great scrum by the United States.
United States turns it around. Can Canada get on the blind side?
They got to organize defense here.
Oh, man, what a hit by Manoa.
Huge hit on Carpenter. Never saw it coming.
Heading up inside is Carpenter this time, and he gets it over. So nice resolve by Aaron Carpenter.
Well, he took a massive hit, but again, fringe defense by the United States.
From the angle we were looking, I saw a beach ball go up in the air, and I thought it was someone's cranium.
It's a really good improvement with the breakdown, so well done.
Harry Jones in there.
100%.
Good. Everybody arrives on scene for Canada.
There's the hit by Manoa on Carpenter, and Carpenter able to, well, reset the hard drive somehow and get back up, grab hold, and go over.
And look at the engine room going to work. You got Cudmore in there, Hodson in there. Lay the ball back for the hooker.
So give credit to Canada and Aaron Carpenter.
Tom still on,
try again.
56 caps for Canada. Most of them at flanker.
20 seconds.
Slotted through by Pritchard.
I'll tell you what, and when Pritchard's on, he is on. I think one of the most clinical goal kickers that I've ever seen. Missed a few shots against Scotland. Really uncharacteristic of how accurate he normally is, but you do not want him with the ball in hand and a chance if you're the United States.
Yeah, he had those 4 penalty goals against Scotland and 10 points against Japan. And on the restart, the take-up high by Canada. Just about 4 minutes to go in the first half, and a 18-14 U.S. lead. The maul, a mini maul.
Use it once.
A strip maul on the move. Spun deep to Braid. He's going for the corner here, but nobody's given chase except Suniula on the U.S. side. Maybe some miscommunication
You've got
there.
the timing wrong. Your forward already joined on to make the mark. Okay? Just a timing issue. Side entry on the maul.
Side entry on the maul, the call, so they'll bring it back to the far side of the field. And there is Stuart Barry. By the way, when he's not reffing, he's a sports and concert promoter. So it's kind of like, I don't know, Bill Graham with a whistle.
4 and 5. We need to talk to these ball boys, please, because it's now delaying the game significantly.
It's a hot day for the ball boys, too, but Stuart wants them to pick up the pace.
Mike, did you get that? Mike, did you get that message?
They should maybe train them at Wimbledon.
Can train them right here in Sacramento in the heat. The ball kicked into touch, and so right about halfway will be the line out for Canada.
Well, U.S. seemed to have some momentum about 20 minutes ago in this game, and Canada seems to have taken it back.
Big toss here taken by Cudmore to Jones. Really reaching out and grabbing for it. Suniula with the tackle. And then giving it a big go on the side is Tyler Ardron.
No hands. Good tackle by Lavala.
Oh, the touch to Cudmore, and then Funderburg off his foot and giving chase, and Pritchard's going to be there. Does he get it? Gives it a kick, puts it down. Looks like a try for Canada. Once again, you mentioned where the USA gets caught, and in situations like that, Pritchard able to seal the deal.
Well, you know, the defense was set up. Threatened Palamo is on the blind side, and he takes this shot at a tackle when he should have just stayed in the line of defense. Pritchard does a real nice job towing this ball forward. Real measured weight onto it. Vandermarvo with the first little chip. And Petrie doesn't have the gas to catch Pritchard.
It's 1 minute.
Off the foot there, and you see Pritchard going to make it a double boot, and then able to put downward pressure on the oval. And so Canada at the moment with a 19-18 lead and looking to add from here is James Pritchard.
One of the keys of the game we said earlier on is that defense in open phases, and that's exactly where the U.S. fell apart.
Pritchard got himself one there. So converting on his own try, and 21-18 Canada.
So take a look out of this phase. Got the wall set up. Just to the right of your screen is threatened Palamo. He'll come into picture momentarily. Well, we didn't see it, but I think Palamo jumped on the tackle. But
the U.S. has the ball and on the move to the 22. As we've reached 40 minutes, so not a whole lot of time left off the hands of Hayden Smith, and the advantage to Canada is flung down is Kieran Hearn. Hearn gets back up, not held the call, and Kieran Hearn going to make the U.S. regret the last couple minutes of the first half.
Well, you know, 20 seconds before the end of the game, and
no need to rest. Not held.
Yeah, that first half a rough one to finish for the USA.
Yeah, I know exactly what Anthony's talking about. It's
another look is Hearn. You see him driving here, flung down by Lavala. Nobody pins him, and away he goes. Not held in the tackle.
Well, you know, it's transition defense, and it's the Achilles heel of the United States once again. They got the ball in their hands, and a turnover. Ball goes, it looked like the ball was going straight to Hayden Smith's hands, and he just can't find the handle. And just like that, a knock-on is going to turn into 7 points. Just a nightmare for the U.S., who's done some really good things today in the first half. The scrum looks more stable. They've had some opportunities with ball in hand, and yet they've let 3 long-range tries in.
And so as they go to the break, instead of the U.S. being ahead and even comfortably ahead during points of the first half, they are down 10 because of miscues in the final 2 minutes or so of the first half.
And we're about to see how mature this U.S. team is. They got to come out and play 40 minutes, clean up some of the trash from the first.
28-18, Canada with the lead at the intermission. Back with more on Universal Sports. Canada on top of the United States in this Pacific Nations Cup showdown on Universal Sports. Bill Seward alongside Brian Hightower, and it was the first half certainly with some swings, Brian, and let's take a look at the highlights for this one. As a half that featured 6 tries, but penalty goals started things off for the U.S. Wiles hitting the first 2.
Yeah, and things looking on the up for the United States at this point. They had the ball in the Canadian half. Some of that was because of a yellow card by Phil Mack. But the U.S. has given up 3 soft tries, and 2 of them have come from turnover ball.
Harry Jones getting it going for Canada. Circles the corner. Lavala can't grab, and Harry Jones puts it down. U.S. comes back after about the 26-minute mark, and really nice play back and forth, Wiles and Scully.
Yeah, Wiles and Scully, they were a machine last week together, responsible for 3 tries together.
Couldn't convert on that one, but Wiles will come back, and Danny Barrett busting loose.
Barrett does a great job, steps to the inside center and gets it into the right hands there. And on the finish, just too many U.S. attackers. And Suniula does a great job of getting rid of this ball, and Wiles with nothing but daylight.
Wiles would convert, an 18-7 USA lead, and then a nice hit by the U.S. Down by in goal, but Canada, the hit was against Carpenter, and here's Carpenter recycling himself and grabbing and pushing it across.
Well, you got to take care of the blind side first, and they don't do a very good job of the defense there. And Canada, especially with Van der Marve on the corner there, has a lot of experience. And then this one starts with a Hayden Smith knock on. Nobody holds Kieran Hearn in the tackle, and he's off to the races. And give Canada credit, because they've done a great job of just picking up the trash that the United States has been leaving on the field. And with the experience that they have, they're going to do that if the U.S. gives them opportunities.
So 3/4 of the way through the first half, as you look at the stats, the United States was up 18-7. And then bam, bam, bam. 3 unanswered and converted tries by Canada. That's the score at the intermission, 28-18. We've seen these teams and what they can do in the second half over the last couple of matches. What will happen today? Find out when we come back.
Halftime in Sacramento at Bonnie Field, and the Eagles trailing by 10 in this one. Canada leads it 28-18. Now, both of these teams playing in the Pacific Nations Cup. These two teams are both from the America Conference, but the title's already been decided. Japan has had quite the summer already. This is back on June 7th. They beat Canada by a score of 34-25. That was 25 unanswered points in the second half by the Brave Blossoms that led them to an early lead. Now, they would also match up against the United States. It was close at the half. This was tied at 17-17. But the U.S. let off the gas, and Japan jumped out to a 34-17 lead early on in that second half. The U.S. tried to come back with an awesome effort by American Blaine Scully, who scored 2 tries, but that would not be enough, and Japan would end up taking away the victory, beating the U.S. 37-29. Japan wrapped up the title no matter what happens here today between these two teams. It was a valiant effort by the Eagles, but they just couldn't seem to get it going. So for Japan, 9 points. You see the U.S. there with that loss, the Canadians with the same, so nothing really will change here tonight for these two teams. Like we said, Japan has locked it up already. On the other side of things, in the Pacific Islands Conference, Samoa beat Fiji in Fiji earlier today by a score of 18-13, and that wraps up their conference title. You see the standings there as Tonga finishing in that bottom spot. So again, a clinch on that other side. Right now, the Americans only focused on one thing, and that's coming back against the Canadians. They are down by 10. When we return to Bonnie Field, we'll have the second half right now, 28-18.
28-18, Canada with the advantage in this Pacific Nations Cup showdown here in Sacramento, and waiting for the start of the second half. But the game story in this one, the U.S. rolls out in front 18-7, and then Canada reels them in with 3 tries to complete that first half.
And we're finally seeing the U.S. running with some good quality possession, good ball off first phases, and in open play as well, but they're giving the ball to Canada too many times. Canada, meanwhile, is really doing a good job of picking up the trash and converting it into points. And if the United States wants to have a chance, they're going to have to tighten it up. And at the same time, they're going to have to find that, kind of momentum that they had in the first half and the confidence to be able to run the ball in open play.
taking a look once again at the fortuitous play of the Canadiens in the final couple of minutes of the first half. Once again, at the 30-minute mark, the U.S. had an 18-7 lead. And Aaron Carpenter would start the trifecta for Canada.
Yeah, this ball comes from a set piece. It starts with a scrum, and Canada earns this one, with some pretty good movement. But on this one, it's a defensive breakdown, and then a little chip forward. Van der Marve does a great job of laying that ball down for Pritchard, and Pritchard does an awesome job of cleaning it up and scoring a try. And here, you just got to have, you can see, flashing out of your screen was a defender for the United States, and it looked like maybe Petrie going away because he thought that Hearn was held, and therefore nobody's in front of him. Nobody holds him on the ground, and Hearn ends up hurting the U.S. once again.
So a terrible way for the United States to finish up the first half. See how they can start the second. As Stuart Berry meeting with Kieran Hearn at halfway, and Blaine Scully with a try, and a lot of folks watching here in Sacramento. The second half, and we are underway.
No subs so far for the U.S. Fine. Check that. It looks like
there first.
It looks like Lamosatelli has come in. Yeah, wearing the number 16 jersey. Lamosatelli has come in for Olive Khalifi.
Yes. Straight out, straight out. The kick by Petrie going the other way. Also checking in for Canada. Looks like number 17, Ray Barkwood.
White on the line.
Not sure if Barkwell and Bidens might have switched their
Stay on the line, White.
jerseys or not. Barkwell would be the hooker, right?
Yeah.
I think it's Bidens instead of Barkwell.
Yep, got it.
Hariyama's in there wearing the 20. The United States on the move as pushing forwards Danny Barrett. LaBalla runs dead into Tyler Hodson. In the pocket, Wiles with the left foot.
Stay.
Got a breeze behind him, sends it down to Hariyama.
I want you to stop. You can't run.
Off the foot of Van der Marve. Bounding to Scully. He turns, gives it the right shot, and heads it over past Harry Jones. And gets it to drop in goal. Harry taking a look and decides to ground it there, and a 22 drop kick for Canada coming up.
Scully just puts a little too much heat on that ball. But if they're able to collect this 22-meter drop kick, then it's a gain in territory. Clean ball for Clever.
Taken down right at the 10-meter line, the U.S. side, and Teal and picked off by Harry Jones. And Jones, Samoa given. Then is Samu Manoa given chase, and meanwhile, Jones going to go all the way as the U.S. can't recover on the tackle, and Harry Jones dotting it down.
Well, the only thing that the U.S. was really needing to do coming out was protecting the ball. Barrett gives away a knock on there, and that turnover is costly.
Take another look at it there.
Yeah, just looked like Barrett just never found the handle. You know, Jones, once again, he's marked up against a bunch of forwards, and Scully tries to track him down, but too much distance to cover.
So Pritchard will go against a little wind and at a tough angle, but he will try to make it 35-18 and make it 4 consecutive unanswered converted tries by Canada.
Well, the disappointing thing for this U.S. team is that they're really not even making Canada play rugby. They're giving the ball away in the turnover, and now it's 4 long distance tries out of 5.
didn't quite hammer that one, and it gets it to go through still, so it looks golden in the details of the match, but another look.
Yeah, ball to Barrett there, and he just takes his eyes off it for just a moment. And there's Jones to pick up the pieces. Well, it's still early in the second half. The U.S. needs to be the next team to respond.
Braid stood up and finally taken down. Jones deftly back the other way, and Jones trying to go on another long distance journey, but obstruction the call, I believe, on Biden. And so Biden's wearing the 17.
The conference with Todd Clever. 3 points, not going to do much to put a dent in the score, and so they're going to have to score tries.
Wiles scuds to touch, and so the line out on the far side going to be about 12 meters out. Checking in for the United States is Folau Nua as he comes in and threatens Palamo's day is done.
Well, I don't think they got the minutes they wanted out of Palamo. Not enough touches to put pressure on the defense there, and that's another crucial mistake deep inside the Canadian half. The throw is off in the line out. That should be the low-hanging fruit for the United States. They got to come up with that ball in the line out.
Your foot there. Let's go,
Field tosses, and you see the rotation of the ball. The wind might have caught a bit of it and pushed it the other way.
Yeah, that's on Phil Teal. He's got to put that ball in the right spot. Especially in this place. You just got a penalty. You back the Canadians up inside their own 10 meters. That can't be the result.
Gordon McRory, the put in.
On the axis, both props not going forward.
And now, not pushing straight, the call on the U.S. front row. Canada digs himself out of a hole.
Jones to touch, line out far side for Canada.
Yeah.
6.5 minutes in.
Time number 2, sub.
And Harry Jones with a
time is off.
Try and the ensuing conversion and a 35-18 lead as Tom Kulikin wearing the 16 coming in for the U.S. replacing Phil Teal.
Time back
line out far side for Carpenter. See if he can throw a dart. Contested between Ardren and Manoa.
Release once.
Biden. Jones with the cutout to Hariyama and turn to Fundamar. And stepping in is Braid. Braid's found an opening, but the whistle blows it all up and obstruction the call.
Canada's been getting away with a few lazy runners. Braid with the ball here.
Moonlight. And Biden's got to set themselves up like mission slats on furniture.
Looked like Hodson just mowed over Nick Wallace.
Wiles to the toward the far corner again, and another line out for the U.S. Need to strike here. 7, almost 8 minutes in to the second half.
Yeah,
first of all, stop the red charge. And
jumper only.
Second get a bit closer.
And just the confidence.
Yep.
If you want to work your way back into this game, you got to score here.
Kulikin's first throw up high to Clever, definitely done by the U.S., except now the hop forward and the scrum will go to Canada. The knock-on.
With the intensity, does it?
And it looked like Manoa came around on a peel, trying to work a set move off the scrum in the forwards. There we go.
There's our mark.
Nice and low, nice and tight, Canada.
So got some changes up front, of course. Kulikin in there.
I expect you to both go forward before we go
Biden's in,
around.
and we haven't seen him on the scrum side yet for Canada. Of course, Hubert got some experience. He certainly does. 5-0 lifetime against the U.S.
6.
McCrory puts in. And taking it out, Zardra. Braid just inside the 22.
Backwards.
Giving a go is Hodson.
Nice tackle
He's
by
taken
Barrett.
down, and Danny Barrett got a pretty good tag there. And up and over goes Manoa.
Good counter up by the United States.
U.S. clever. Does he find the man to his left? Getting closer. Just a couple meters out.
Barrett wants it on the weak side.
Still advantage.
Lamosatelli.
Hands rigged.
Advantage being played by the ref, but they need to score 7 out of this.
Manoa with the step back. Maybe not his forte at this point. And the whistle, and the penalty be awarded to the United States.
Number 6 slowing the ball down.
Jeff Sinclair, the
There's
call.
numbers on the right. Petrie sees it.
Suniula.
Great pass
Swings
out of the
wide
way.
outside, and Wiles gets it a bit closer. Petrie digs it out. Back inside, Hayden Smith.
Stay back.
To Clever. Clever to Suniula.
No hands rigged. Advantage. Time.
And once again, they're pointing at Jeff Sinclair. Let's listen to Stuart Barrett.
Number 6.
This might be a card.
It's a professional foul. Clearly after the ruck, he's slowing the ball down.
So Jeff Sinclair last week got a red card against Scotland. This week a yellow.
Pauls. And Pauls.
Now you're up a man, and you're going to the post. I'm throwing it to you.
I don't like
Educate me.
Yeah, I never liked it. You're 17 points down. You got to get a try. Now you got a man advantage.
You have a man advantage. That's the other. Well.
And the clock's already ticking on that 10 minutes against Sinclair.
Well, if you get this in 2 converted tries, you can even things up. If that's your point. Wiles with the 3. And make it 35-21. 11 into the second half. And another look at Mike Petrie trying to get it in here, and Sinclair reaching across for the ball from the other side.
Yeah, you can see Sinclair's hand. He just got it wrapped up. Petrie's trying to get his hand away.
On the restart. So now the U.S. with 15. Canada with 14 players. We'll see if the U.S. can take advantage of the situation as Petrie peering in. Box kick.
Scully on the chase.
Fundamarva to Hirayama. And Hirayama, again, one of those very good sevens players that you see for Canada. McCrory to Jones. And then stepping through hard is Jason Marshall, wearing the 18 into the game for Canada.
Yep.
Carpenter leaves it for Jones. Around he goes.
He got cleaned. 7 outs. Thank you. Ball's available. Hold.
And almost intercepted by Manoa.
Yeah, thank you.
Down it goes, and
I think
the knock on, and so
it's an intentional knock on against Manoa, and he almost has the ball in his hands. The referee saying you didn't attempt to catch the ball.
Straighten them down. Be aware of your entry. The penalty's for an intentional knock.
The intentional knock the call. They should kick to touch, will Canada. We head down to the pitch, and our Nick Gismondi. Nick.
Guys, well, something interesting to take a look at here is the second half has really told the tale for both of these teams, but it's a change of fortune for the Canadians. They blew leads coming in to the second half in their first 2 matches, and now they've put the pedal down. The U.S. has tried to step things up, and they've also had struggles in that area. They've managed to get it back towards the end, but they're running right now against the clock. The Canadians have all the momentum in this one. There weren't too many changes for the U.S. coming out of the locker room. However, the Canadians made 5 substitutions. Maybe that was the impetus, and maybe that is what has changed the fortunes for the Canadians, but the U.S. really needs to get the pedal down here because, again, they're racing the clock.
Going up high is Moonlight. Thank you, Nick. You're grabbing the toss from Carpenter.
No, stay in.
13 and a half minutes in, and a 35-21 lead for Canada. U.S. needs to score a try and do one soon as Jones.
And again,
to Fundamarva, and Fundamarva cutting it back in. Taken down almost 20 meters out. Into touch, it looks like the far side, and is that the case? The whistle says yes. Oh, got something going on over there between Moonlight, I believe, and Clever.
It's always chippy between these two sides.
Number 7, you need to go away. Do you understand?
A penalty for Moonlight for talking to the ref.
Number 7. Time.
Stuart Berry going to have a word with John.
That topic's not a discussion. You don't speak to him like that. We don't negotiate over decisions. Okay.
So ball goes into touch here. I think Clever gets away with one there. I think he's feigning
the quick line out.
There's a mark, Greg.
Actually,
quick line up to his face.
I'm sure he was trying to throw the line out there quickly. It's just that Moonlight's chin was in front of it.
No love lost.
Who's taking over?
And it looks like Tyler Ardron going to come out. And so the captain.
No. He doesn't run off with concussion. 4 and 5. Is that an injury substitute or is that concussion? Mike, can you hear me? Okay, please confirm whether that's injury or concussion. We're going to play on.
Stuart Berry checking with the sideline on the condition of Tyler Ardron coming off and replaced by number 19, John Phelan. And on the line out, it goes to ground and a knock on, and the scrum to Canada.
Ball not thrown straight according to the ref once again. The litany of errors continues for the U.S.
A little bit closer, please, White. Yeah, good.
A little different crew in that front row now for Canada with Bidens and Marshall.
Remember our agreement.
And remaining in there is Aaron Carpenter. Carpenter's done an admirable job on the lineouts too. This one converted from, we saw him playing at the 8s for Canada back last year. And spinning the side is McRory, puts it off his foot. Sweeping it up is Wiles. Wiles holding off Braid. Suniula, and the U.S. on the move. Kelly. Thompson comes across.
Vonage, tackler too long.
And the U.S. playing the advantage as Samu Manoa gives it to Danny Barrett. Wallace ahead. Clever keeping his feet, and Clever needs some help. Has Petrie. Mike wheels it back inside. Can he get around Hirayama? No. And he's on his own island.
Release Reds!
The U.S. catching a break here, able to get this ball out. Suniula to Barrett. Barrett goes into contact.
just about 8 meters out.
Hold.
Wiles stepping across it. Thompson gives it to Lavala.
This one, the U.S. has to get runners into a little bit more depth coming onto the ball. They're taking the ball flat. They need strike runners with pace here.
Clever, flat-footed.
Or they're going to get backed up again.
Hold.
Stuart Berry keeping an eye on this one as Suniula on the cross off of Kelly's hand. It goes back, however, to Wiles. To the right side is Scully. Scully, 6 meters out.
Release Ridge. Thank you.
Lamosatelli leaves one behind.
Leave it Ridge.
No, Wallace does a great job of cleaning that ball up.
Petrie tries to call his own number at that point. The advantage to the United States being called.
Well, you got Clever and Manoa standing side by side on the corner. The ball's got to come out.
Lavala jams it forward. Lavala on the second attempt. Petrie, Lamosatelli.
And Petrie
off of the hands, goes sideways, and it comes to Clever.
Come back here.
And the advantage bringing it back, actually.
Here's your mark.
The mark given. Clever goes. Todd Clever.
Not sure that the Canadians were backed up against their goal line there, but the ref doesn't call it that way, and Wiles and Scully go to work.
Inside the 5, this is 15 on 14.
You still got Barrett and Manoa out on the corner, but no one's identified it.
35-21, Canada, and heading across for the USA.
Scully again. 5 tries in 2 games for Blaine Scully.
You got a solid hit there.
One of Sacramento's favorite sons, not disappointing there.
That was a big hit. What was that? Number 5 offside. 5 offside.
Wallace on the initial break, and watch Clever go to work. He's got such great balance, just strong up top. Finds Petrie, but Petrie, I think his top end speed. A little bit of a question mark there. And while Scully, I should say, comes in off the blind corner, takes that no look. Nice job finishing by Scully, and this conversion would go a long way as well if Wiles can put this over.
Breeze appears to be heading his way. Kyle Gilmore stepping off for Canada, I do believe, wearing the 20. Got an ice pack on his head.
40 seconds.
Have not seen who his replacement is. Important conversion here by Chris Wiles on this attempt. Yep, Sinclair still in the sin bin. Wiles, rotation, yes.
United States within a try. 20 minutes to go.
And 10 points scored by the United States since Jeb Sinclair hit the bin, and now Jeb's free. Looks like a scrum cap there for Gilmore, and that sends him back in.
Still got a number of subs on the bench for the U.S. Might Coach Tolkin be thinking about this last 20 and how fresh legs might make a difference?
Manoa trying to do his best for the U.S. there, and 21 minutes into the second half. Ball up high, squirts out and taken by McCrory.
Use it.
Hubert Biden's trying to play scrum half here. Carpenter pounding the right side.
Canada, good depth in the backs.
Use it.
Really don't make much.
McCrory, the cutout, and knocked on by Moonlight. A slow whistle, but a whistle nonetheless.
And that's Aaron Carpenter on the ground for Canada.
Tyler Ardron leaving the game a bit ago. We check in with our Nick Gismondi.
Yeah, guys, he went off for the PSCA, which is the pitch side suspected concussion assessment. That was up just this month from 5 to 10 minutes. They spent the 10 minutes. The doctor just came back to the sidelines, and he is done for the match. Basically, what happens is they take you off. They give you a field assessment, symptoms checklist, balance assessment, cognitive assessment. He was ruled to potentially have a concussion. Now, keep in mind here, doctors are making a clinical decision, not a diagnosis. There's 2 more steps to this. That will happen within the next 36 to 48 hours. But right now, the captain for Canada is done.
Tyler Ardron with his 16th cap today. Looking to go 4-0 against the United States in his career. And this, the water break, which we have heard about midway through each of the halves, and this one coming here.
This is one of those opportunities for the United States just to try away now, put themselves in a hole, and really for all the wrong reasons, practically giving the ball away to Canada.
If you're looking at the bench, Canada so far they've gone through some folks. The U.S. seems to be fairly fresh coming from the bench if needed.
Yeah, we still haven't seen Big Lou coming off the bench. Lou Stanfill. He's a guy who can certainly add a little bit of push. You know, this is one of those moments you look each other in the eye and you start really, you know, you got to man up right here. You got to play for each other. And both sides really having the same type of huddle. Canada, well, we've said this before when we talked about their 17 build, just from the standpoint of culture. You know, they really do seem to play for each other. They play with a lot of heart. What's been going on in Canadian rugby seems to be
cheer from the crowd.
Number 5,
Sacramento's Lou Stanfill heading out there. They didn't cheer so much for Ray Barkwell, who checked in at the hooker spot
I guarantee
for Canada.
Barkwell doesn't have quite as many people in attendance to watch him today as Stanfill does. There's a whole Stanfill section.
Hayden Smith coming out. Stanfill in for him and ready for a scrum at the 22-minute mark with Canada holding a 7-point advantage, 35-28. A free kick awarded to the U.S. and Barrett leaves it for Lavala.
10, you off your feet.
And the call that Canada, one of the defenders,
he's made contact with
Barry
no
Jones off his feet.
Well, again, Clever kind of taking a flat ball. I'd like to see a little more dynamic running.
And Manoa on the cross. Lamosatelli. A step and forward he goes.
Resources on the blind side.
Out to Stanfill. The fend on Pritchard. Puts his head down and looks for some help. Gets it in the form of Manoa and Clever. Wallace hit hard by Jason Marshall. And the give goes to Kelly. Shirt tail dragged down by Moonlight.
Moonlight just saved the try for Canada.
Inside the 22 they go, the U.S.
Kelly within inches of breaking that one.
Stanfill. Petrie to Wallace. Kulikan right there with him. Being held up. It's a maul now, the call, and the U.S. needing to resource it a bit. Brought it in, responsible for bringing it out. Not the case, and so the scrum goes to Canada.
Sometimes, you know, it's a question of are you working harder or are you working smarter? You take that ball in, it's got to come back. It's imperative, and look where they are in front of the post, about 15 meters out.
Right, let's go, please. 7.
Cool. Taking a seat. Lamosatelli.
You just get your bind onto the body and not.
Can you just watch him get his bind on my arm? Back and on my arm?
So we'll get you going and I'll get you going. Okay.
As you see, the teenager, Lamosatelli, the Evergreen State product.
A lot of upside. Lamosatelli getting some work over with the Saracens in the Premiership. Yeah, take a kid that size, still a teenager.
And he won't go left.
A lot of coaches
he wants to go just left
around the Premiership, and certainly the ones here in the U.S. targeting big things for TD Lamosatelli.
Left of him.
Lamosatelli, Coulican, and Wallace. Wallace, one of the originals from this match. On the Canadian side, Bidens, Barkwell, and Marshall all subbed in.
So Bidens. U.S. will try to work the right shoulder here. Try to give Hirayama the kick instead of Harry Jones.
McRory puts in, gets a shove.
And they get it.
Spun out to McRory. Mouse sending one this way, up high. Thompson with the grab and taken by Pritchard.
Great job by Thompson. He's been quiet today, but the ball seems to have really kind of avoided that left side of the field. You know, credit the scrum.
Release
US
red 7.
Had a lot of pressure in the scrum, but that scrum, they had to have a right shoulder. They got one.
Lamosatelli goes down, and can the U.S. clean it out of there? On the jump pass. Wiles leaves it for Thompson. Grabbed by Pritchard and pulled toward touch. Off goes a boot. And right at the 22 and into touch. And now the question, who gets to throw it in?
Yeah, Wiles on the ground.
Going to be the U.S.
Time off.
Yeah, Chris Wiles is down, and Wiles been a big part, certainly. The couple of penalty goals and actually 3 of them, and also had a try in the contest.
Well, Wiles, if he stays on the field, we'll have to check it out. You know, the questions about who takes over for
on the penalty
kicks, and
on the 7 side, it was, yeah, and Shalom Suniula did some kicking. He does the restarts. I'm not sure. Probably Folau Nua on the on conversions and penalty goals. Take another look at this one with Wiles just getting dragged down there, and looks like he
red on the line.
Kind of locked in that right knee as he came down and hit.
Well, you know, he's walking off, but he's walking gingerly, and the way that knee twisted, yeah, I don't know if we're gonna. He's testing it now, but you know, they're
trying to work that right knee. The right knee is going to be the one you plant when you go to kick, so he's going to need that.
He's going to need to be able to sprint too.
Off the ball.
Advantage for the U.S. here. Now this is within kickable range. If they
penalty advantage, White.
Advantage to the U.S. Spun outside. Miss Wiles off to
that's because Wiles
goes, and there's a whistle.
Wiles needs to do what's best for the team here, and he needs to put his hand up.
18, taking a player out beyond the ball.
And the call on Jason Marshall for grabbing a hold of somebody away from the ball.
You know, he's played so well. Wiles has over the last couple of weeks, and he's such a presence on the field and such a force. The way he just lined up and ran on the outside, he doesn't have his speed, and that is what you need in your fullback.
You have a minute.
So here's your question. Your knee's stretched out a little bit on the right side. You're a left-footed kicker. You're down 7 points here, as you see at the 66-minute mark. You staying in there, Buck?
Nobody wants to leave the field, and you know, and that expression, they'll have to drag me off, kicking and screaming, and Wiles is that type of guy. He wants to be on the field. He's a difference maker. I just, you know, maybe I didn't see it right.
Well,
we'll be able to tell the next time he runs. We'll be able to tell.
Well, the last time when that ball was whistling toward him, it didn't look like he was motoring at 80%. See how it fares on this attempt.
Luke Hume wearing the 23. Looks like he's warming up. And if so, Scully's a great fullback as well.
Chris got it through.
Money. Well, he's hobbling back into position. I still don't like what I see out of his gait.
No.
He's soldiering on. Give him credit for that. I just wonder if that'll have an impact.
Boys.
His parents, Graham and Denise, have flown over for England. They've been to 3 cities in the last few weeks. Started in Houston. We're in LA last week.
Hearn on the restart. Manoa with the grab. Samu rolling forward and taking some folks with him. And now just down 4 points is the United States.
And still plenty of time. 10 minutes left in this contest plus.
Petrie, the box. Fundamarva right at the touchline. Keeps it in to Hariyama. Nate gets it charged down by Kulikau. Tommy picks it up. And look he goes, Danny Barrett. The U.S. recycles. Clever, the right side.
Great job by Tom Kulikan.
Use it. Soniola spins it to Barrett. Place it go nuts if they can get it over here. Outside. Nua got a man in the corner. Yeah.
Well, he's only had 3 touches today, but that one is a huge one. Watch Kulikan here. Nathan Hariyama makes a horrible mistake. He thinks he's going to have a free one. He sees the hooker running at him. Kulikan does a great job. He puts it in the right pair of hands as well. I don't know how Petrie on this last phase even gets the ball beyond the Canadian defense. Full-out Nua, and look at the step.
Little Goose.
And his dad, Salty Thompson, I don't know where he is right now, if he's in the stands or off with the Junior Olympians Sevens team. But what a way to make your first appearance on the international stage. What a try for Brett Thompson.
The U.S. with a 36-35 lead. They were up 18-7 at the 30-minute mark of the first half, and then watched Canada score 4 consecutive unanswered tries and take a 35-18 lead a couple minutes into the second half. Wiles got a penalty goal. Scully with a try. Wiles with another three-pointer. And then Thompson finds the corner.
10 seconds left.
And Wiles from the corner and under the watchful eye and clock of Stuart Barry. Got it!
Well, they got to stay on the job. There's 10 minutes left in this contest. This is where they will show whether they can finish one out.
The one.
And I don't know how Petrie gets that around Connor Braid. It goes in front of him.
On the restart.
Great job by Mike Petrie. I tell you what, it's a hard tour. He's got a little girl at home, little Evangeline, and his wife Lauren probably watching this game. Daddy's coming home soon, but hopefully he's going to bring a victory as well.
Nick Wallace off, and Sacramento man Eric Fry on. Clever with the grab, hitting the air. Comes tumbling forward, but play on the call by Barry.
Takaloni.
Stanfield.
Well, this is where they have to be clinical. They got to play the ball in the Canadian half. And right there. This is huge. The United States has been doing well in the scrum. Last time they needed to get that right shoulder, they did.
Kulikan slow to get up. He, of course, came in, subbed in for Phil Teal. A huge charge down by him.
Well, at this range, practically anywhere inside the halfway stripe, Pritchard, the fullback for Canada, can strike.
Well, Nice thing for the U.S.
He's playing wing now, but
guess what? He strikes with the foot. It's even.
Come on.
The key is keeping him from crossing that paint.
Talk about that Brett Thompson try again. You know, you're out there on the corner for really one reason in attacking play, and that's to finish. And a wing who can finish is worth their weight in gold. And Brett Thompson, nice job. His first really clean touch of the game.
Pretty good shove by the U.S. here. The put in, however, by McRory. And being overtaken now as it rolls up. Can they keep the bind? They do. Sinclair gets it out of there, and Hirayama fighting through the tackle by Petry. Biden's nailed down by Lavala. McRory pointing to it, and awarded to the U.S.
Survives the clean out.
That is a great job. Danny Barrett goes in for the poach, gets the penalty. I'll tell you what, this is crucial. The timing, and it's isolated on the ground. And look at Barrett on his feet. Textbook coach.
Keep those pins up. Suniula finds touch, a beauty.
Beautiful kick by Suniula.
Kulikin's coming down here with a smile. Wants to toss a missile on this lineout. So clock keeps rolling on. Now you're under 7 minutes in time.
Wiles out of the game. Luke Hume in.
Well, I think Chris has done enough.
He sure has. And a great strike by Kulikin.
Tommy coming up big. Kelly rolls it forward. Just outside the 22. Lamosatelli, the hop, the step, the move back inside.
Yeah, you got to watch it. Almost obstruction there.
Lou Stanfield. I am Sacramento man.
We got a lot of Sacramento players out there right now as Fry enters the contest.
Scully's one of them. He gets taken down. Petry to Fry, another S-Town man.
Yep.
Barrett gets wheeled back and pulled off his feet.
And just like that,
holding on,
Red on his feet at the start and survived the clean out.
Yep.
Yeah, he just gets in the wrong position. His body's not aligned. Nobody there in support.
Just over 5 minutes to go in this one.
Yep, this back.
Jones with the honors toward touch. Of course, Jones was the first try scorer in this one a long time ago in that first half.
Sometimes it's better to just go through phases with support. There's Kulikin.
The way Barrett went down, got sealed, really couldn't get that ball away from him. It was pinned to him.
And John Moonlight returns the favor to Danny Barrett. Both of them great exponents of the sevens code as well.
Up high it goes and taken by Marshall.
Great job by Seamus Kelly to read that.
Kelly picking.
Leave it once. Ball's available. Ball's available. Farnage flag it down.
McRory.
Penalty advantage.
The advantage going to Canada at this point.
16 White slowing the ball down.
They're rolling forward. Coming back the other way. Jones off the foot. Hume zeroing in. Jones gets it. And Jones taken down by Petry. Hearn with it. Needs to be taken to the turf and is.
Great job. Lavala could have come up in defense.
Stanfield got himself a looky-looky. Hume. Outside, inside. Got to do it.
He just had to have one run.
McRory went for a ride on that one. Clever. Spins his back. Keeps it up. Tries to fend off Hodson. Suniula. U.S. could use one here, and they got outside on the motor again. Thompson. Right at the 22 are the Eagles.
Red not releasing. Very
Should be an advantage here as Petry gets.
And it's a penalty advantage to the United States.
Fry rolls it forward. clear enough. Given the kick, it heads toward in goal, and with the penalty advantage, they'll come back out here.
Number 11 not releasing.
And the call going against DTH Vandermeer.
11 red.
Not releasing the ball carrier.
There's your mark.
Just a little over 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, look at Stanfield. Lou's out there just looking around.
Yeah.
Hunting the ball. This is a huge turnover. You know, Canada needed this ball.
Let's go.
Stanfield does the trash man's job.
White's coming.
So, the United States,
I want you to be mindful of
they're
time
trying to slow the game down a little bit here.
You think?
Just a few minutes, and this has to be a bullseye.
Kulikin.
Great job by Clever to go up for that ball. Manoa at the back. They'll try to drive.
Keep it on.
Got those bright yellow boots, does Samu Manoa.
Go around now, 19.
Forward charge comes up Maul for the U.S. Still in possession of it. Moonlight trying to grab Manoa. Down they go, and that ball whistle by Barry.
Collapsed. I don't have to. It's
So
pretty
the
clear.
scrum will go to Canada.
All that work.
Well, you're looking at under 2 minutes to go. The U.S. holding on to a 3-point lead. 5 meters out.
That's accurate.
Another look at the Maul as Manoa had it in the back. Moonlight putting pressure on him, almost pulled his jersey all the way over his head. John doing a pretty good job of grabbing hold there. Down it goes, and
yeah, you know, and the players just lose track of where the ball is, and Manoa goes too far forward, squirts to the right, doesn't have anybody behind him, and Moonlight covers it up
for two to go up, so one
smartly.
of them's got to be boring in on him.
I'm going out.
You want a big scrum here? You get
Well,
one.
this is where you want the left shoulder here. So before we saw the U.S. with a right shoulder so that the kick couldn't come off the boot of Harry Jones. You want to make it as difficult as possible for the Canadians to get it to their kicker.
McRory will have the put in.
They got two options. Hirayama stands off. Check that.
Crouch.
It's Jones.
Binds. Sits.
They do get the left shoulder. I'll tell you what, credit to the U.S. scrum. They've done a good job today.
Sinclair comes out of there with it. A minute and a half to go. No.
Great tackle by Lou.
Nice job by Lou Stanfield. And the whistle. Hands in the ruck and quickly going the other way. Mouse to Kieran Hearn. He's taken down.
Tackler release. Hold.
Just over a minute to go on the clock.
Numbers.
Barkwill outside to Pritchard. Runs into Hume. Fry comes across to lend some body weight.
They got to play defense in transition here.
Fundemarv.
This is where they'll be tested.
Hirayama. 7 straight losses the United States has endured against Canada. Under a minute to go on the clock.
They got to connect. Set up the wall.
10.
There's 30 seconds left in this game.
On the bounce to Hirayama. Oh, nicely done by Danny Barrett.
7.
Squirreled out of there by McRory.
Numbers out here for Canada. The U.S. has to set up the defense again.
Barkwill. Fundamar. Back inside is Jones.
Jones is dangerous.
Oh, Petrie on the miss. Jones to Hirayama.
Thompson with a try-saver.
Another big one for Brett.
Nothing left on this clock. The U.S. has to dig deep.
40 minutes.
Penalty advantage.
The advantage to Canada.
Use it.
McRory. Kieran Hearn stepping in there. Marshall with the fed. Asked for some help in the knock on, and Will they come back to the advantage?
Yeah,
And they will.
They will. A very kickable decision here.
But Stuart Berry going to might have himself
it's a cynical foul. You intentionally slowing the ball down. Yellow card.
A yellow card against Scott Lavala.
It doesn't matter. This game's over. There's going to be one more play in this game, and it's going to be a kick.
Hold on. Let's go with a scrum, sir.
Here's your mark.
Scrum, sir.
You have no
Check
time
that.
to scrum.
Well, Canadians have decided to go.
Fundamar taken down.
They don't want to tie. They're going to play for the win.
14.
Gutsy move by the Canadians. You got to respect it.
Sinclair. Braid looking in there. McRory. Moonlight. A mistake here. The U.S. makes a stop.
Blindside
It's a
defense.
victory.
It's been their Achilles heel all game. They
Got one out there. Braid gets taken down, and from there,
I think Stanfield's still.
Marshall got the lift.
Ball's available.
Hold still in possession of Canada. Jones. Fundamar. Taken down.
Well, you talk about a bold move by the Canadians.
Gotta get up. Gotta get up and go. Hariyama.
Numbers on the corner.
Kieran Hearn. Hubert Biden. The U.S. down a man.
I've got the tackle and I've got the offside.
Playing on Hughes.
It's a penalty advantage.
Penalty advantage to Canada. Jones flinging it outside. Sinclair.
Who was the white player who late tackled, please?
Stepping forward in. Jeb Sinclair. 5 meters out.
That looked like a forward pass.
Knocked down through the hands. Back it comes. It's still under play. Oh, pitcher tried to get it, and that might do it. Let's see.
It's a long advantage being played by Stuart Berry. The Canadians are going to have another penalty.
Wow. Going to go all the way back to the far side.
What was the number?
15 on 14.
It's a late tackle. Number 4.
Barry's going to talk to
a timing thing. He's just beating you on the pass side is late. That's all it is.
It's actually 14 on 14, and now finally getting a foot up is Hearn on the far
Remember, you
side.
cannot
He
kick it out.
was sitting during all of that motion.
Well, they got to tap again. They can't kick from here. It's too risky a kick.
Marshall racing forward. Kind of do or die on both sides for this one. Just under 20 meters out. U.S. needs a stop to put an end to a 7-game slide against Canada. Barkwell taken down.
Numbers on the corner. Luke's got to stay out.
Kieran Hearn. Lamasatelli with a shirt tackle. Inside 5 meters. Right side. Braid. He's punished down. Richard to it.
Scully has the ball. Scully stole the ball.
Should be the U.S. It is.
Game over. The U.S. has finally gotten the monkey off their back. Talk about pressure. Canada always coming in. I was a little bit surprised at first that they weren't going to tee up the ball to tie the game, but that's not the Canadian style. Scully with a great poach off of that tackle. He's got Connor Braid stood up and just rips the ball away from him. Some happy Eagles.
7 straight losses for the United States. Back to 2009 it goes, and they put an end to it today. 38-35 is your final. Brett Thompson scoring that last try 29 minutes into the second half. And the conversion, what a game by a number of Eagles. Danny Barrett comes to mind, Chris Wiles. Wiles with some extremely important penalty goals and a try in there. Also Blaine Scully. There's a number of them. I would be remiss not pretty much mentioning everybody that stepped out there. But it was a game that they were ahead at one point, 18-7 in the first half, and watched Canada rip off 4 straight tries and then bounce back, does the United States, to finally win it 38-35.
They're going to look back at this film, though, Bill, and they're going to see how easy they were making it for Canada. So many turnovers, so many balls on the ground that didn't need to be there. And they did a great job and showed a lot of heart. This team, I think, matured a lot today on this field in the second half.
That's it. Eagles win it. For Nick Gismondi,